Alright, so let's take a look at number 7. Number 7 represents one of the ways with our standards changing, the way that you're going to be assessed, or the way that you take tests is going to look a little different as well. So this is a really good example of a question that's it's no longer just the ABCD multiple choice. It looks a little bit different. So let me kind of set this up for you. What they're trying to say here is that so they give you a number line. And then you see a problem, but then there's a box. Looks like something's missing. And what they're wanting you to do is they want you to figure out which one of these symbols here on the right would you substitute into that. Well, to figure that out, we need to come back to the number line and we need to evaluate what that says. So it looks like that it's saying x, and it's on 2, and then it's shaded. It's being shaded to all the numbers that are to the left. So all the numbers that are to the left of 2 are numbers that are smaller than 2, or we would say less than. And because there's a solid dot there, what we're saying is we're saying we want 2 and all the numbers that are less than 2. So because we want to include 2, then we're going to put the or equal to sign underneath there. So kind of what they're doing in this question, they're telling us the answer is x less than or equal to 2. And we're then wanting to kind of work backwards to say, well, if this is the answer, what did the question start off as? So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and solve it. We'll kind of disregard or not pay attention to that box just for a second, 2x minus 5. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and write in the box there, and then 3. All right, well, so we're going to solve it as if that box wasn't there, and then we'll come back to it and figure out what that should be. So, well, you know, the first thing you always do is clear parentheses by distributing. So we're going to multiply that negative 3. So we end up with negative 6x plus 15. Keep the box, and then 3. And now you just got a two-step equation. You know, we always get rid of the constant first, the number that's by itself there. We get rid of things by doing the opposite. So the opposite of adding 15 would be to subtract 15, and we'll do that to both sides. 15s cancel each other out. 15 minus 15 would be 0. And still got our box. Different sign subtract. 15 minus 3 would be 12. I have more negatives, so it would be a negative 12. And then I need to divide both sides by negative 6. I'm dividing because that says negative 6 times x. So the opposite of divide or multiplying by negative 6 would be to divide by negative 6. And so we got x, we got our box that we've been dragging around, and then same signs give you a positive, so that would give you a positive 2. Now, so they're already telling us, if we look back over here, they're already telling us that the answer is a less than or equal to. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and plug in a less than or equal to. And so now what they're wanting us to do is kind of work backwards from this point and say, well, what would the symbol be here? What would it be here? And then all the way back to the beginning. Now, you're like, well, wouldn't it just be the same? Well, so there is this one thing with when we multiply, with inequalities, when we multiply or divide by a negative, we have to switch the inequality symbol. So let's make a little note to ourselves here. We're going to switch the inequality symbol when we multiply or divide by a negative. Multiply or divide by a negative. So where that comes into play is that, well, we divided by a negative 6 right there. Right? So we divided by a negative 6. So what that means is that this guy was not always a less than or equal to. At the point that he got divided, he was actually a greater than or equal to. See, when you divided by the negative, that greater than or equal to would switch around to a less than or equal to. So what that then means is that, let's see, we subtracted, so that doesn't switch. And then we didn't do it, and actually maybe we should clarify this here. When we multiply or divide by a negative to both sides of the inequality. So though it is true I distributed a negative here at this point, it's not something I did to both sides of the inequality. So this would actually also stay a greater than or equal to as well. So as far as which one of the symbols, well, it would be that greater than or equal to. Alright, so before you pause the video, I want to make one note. There was actually a typo on 7.3. Your paper, if you have an older version of the review, your paper for 7.3 probably says greater than or equal to 10. So that's actually greater than or equal to -4. So it might be a mistake depending upon if you have the older version or the newer version. But the answer that you should get is x greater than or equal to -4, and then work it back from there. And since I guess I already gave you the answer for that one, let's just talk about the one in the middle. That's what you should get for 7.2 in the middle, is x greater than or equal to -8. So go ahead and pause the video now. Make sure you got both of those. Again, 7.2 is x greater than or equal to -8, and then 7.3 is x greater than or equal to -4.